This is John Bain, and he's currently in the process of being skinned alive by robotic cycles called skin bandits. So not wanting to wait around to fall to the same fate his daughter, wife, and dog fell to, he broke out and ran past his tormentors into the acid rain of the violent and unforgiving lands of Kenshi. As he ran, all he could think about was his family, the happy times, and the picnic they were having by the seashores, before everything went to hell. The skin bandits were still chasing him, and by sheer will and instincts, he managed to get away, eventually arriving to a place devoid of the harsh environment he just escaped from. But what was the point? He had escaped hell, but his family didn't. The sadness and numbness began to fade. In place of it was an unbedded temptress. Vengeance was calling his name, and he would soon answer it. The skin bandits would one day pay. He swore on all that he has lost, and in order to do so, John Bain must seek strength from this god-forsaken world he still lives in. The best thing we can do right now is look around, see what's going on in the Royal Valley. I'm pretty sure there's nothing here. There's more robots around here. I do see a outpost or some kind. So we're gonna go on Naruto running mode. And damn, John Bain, you watch Naruto? Holy crap! They left a ton of bodies on the floor. Who could these be? John Bain arrived at a small town overrun by the things he hated most. Robots, who wore skins of the humans that they captured and tortured. But he knew better than to pick a fight with them at his current level. But to his luck, they did not pick up on the fact that he was an escapee. It seemed they deemed him one of them. After all, if one gets captured by the skin bandits, one does not survive. John Bain used this to his advantage. He took what he could from them and continued running across the shores. What he encountered was reality. Robots who wanted his head. They're chasing you down right now. Look at this. Who are these dudes? Look at, like, it's legit an army. Spiders who needed his limbs, and hounds who wanted his flesh. The journey to nowhere was one that took many days. He encountered a titan that bought him some time to make it to a large tower that only held more dangers. Although he was tempted to sneak inside to take shelter, the horde of robots and arriving monstrous beak things drove him away. But this place, he'll keep in mind. They will pay for taking his family, taking his daughter, and taking everything from him. And what is this place? Mourn? What is Mourn, guys? After so much traveling, John Bain finally arrived at a place called Mourn. Now, it's time for me to explain to you what is going on. John Bain here was once an ordinary man, living with his family on a farm. One day, the skin bandits came. They took him and his family away, into the place he had just escaped. That was where he was forced to witness the horrors. And to greater tragedy, his wife and daughter were the ones to first step into that horrific machine. Now that he has escaped, he plans to bring destruction and death to the skin bandits. But how could he do so? He has no battle experience. The skin bandits were also machines with strength far greater than his. Well, it was simple. Unlike machines, John Bain here could grow in strength. What he lacked, he would obtain. Although he wasn't sure where or how, because in the world of Kenshi, there were no dojos or tutors. He was in quite an interesting place, a formerly inhabited by masters, but now taken over by slaves and liberators. The first slave he met was Kawazashi. He needed some money to pay off his debts. John Bain paid it off. After all, he made some money from selling the items he had stolen from the skin bandits. Kawazashi offered him loyalty in turn, and he began to show John Bain around the place he called Mourn. These stars glitter like jewels. Jewels that he will once obtain. Hey, it's morning, John Bain. It's time to get up. Alright, John Bain. This is the place that you wanted to pick out, right? I mean, check out. Well, it doesn't seem like it's open right now. Wait, it's opening right now. John Bain made sure to buy a bag from a vendor. After which, they found the body of Hobbs. Hobbs was a man whom John Bain spoke to after meeting Kawazashi. The conversation was less than thrilling, mostly a bunch of nonsense and fake stories. But judging from his injuries, His story either had some truth someone wanted to silence, or someone finally said enough was enough and wanted to shut him up. Either way, this was the perfect chance to make him eternally grateful to us. After placing him in a cage, John Bane waited. Kawasashi did his own thing, but when John Bane got bored, he made Kawasashi keep watch while he set off to find a way to teach himself strength. He came across a group of Shek warriors who were banished from their nation for being defeated in battle. Now, even though John Bane was a former farmer, Sheks were so notorious, even he heard about them. The thing they were notorious for was their overwhelming strength and low IQ. We still have fight and honor in us. See for yourself, why don't you? If it makes you happy. Huh. Good. Do not disappoint me, Flatskin. All of you at once? You guys are kidding. John Bane picked a fight. He could not win, but this also proved that he could do things even the craziest of men wouldn't do. So after being jumped, he patched himself up and headed to Mourn to heal his injuries. The next fight John Bane got into was against some folks offering him protection. When he refused, they tried to extort him. This eventually escalated into a brawl that led to John Bane's defeat. But even with defeat, John Bane could feel himself grow stronger in experience. On Kawasashi's side, Hobbs had woken up from his coma. But god damn it, this guy John Bane forgot he even existed. He was instead out in the desert picking fights with folks who looked like they eat gorillas for breakfast. To have a better chance at fighting, John Bane separated them. Now he only had to face 2 and not 20. And somehow, after a lot of struggle, he defeated 2 of them, despite being far weaker. I swear to y'all, John Bane has no plot armor. He's just built different. Stay down. Damn, John Bane just beat 2 martial artists. That's insane. I smell a storm brewing. What's going on? No way! We get a freaking dog, bro? Definitely gonna buy that dog. I don't care how much money it takes. After that victory, John Bane returned, but there was something new that he did not expect. A pup named Rover had appeared. Kawasashi had purchased a dog with the money they scraped together. And oh boy, was it worth it. That's a good boy right there. Alright, Rover. I need to take a rest. But you oh no. Although, just minutes later, robots who were after John Bane discovered him in Mourn. This led to a massive assault that left everyone, including Rover, on the verge of death. No, Rover! Are you serious? No. Somehow, everyone managed to pull through just fine. This revealed something to John Bane though. While resting, he realized he was still weak. Those gorilla boys, in the scheme of things, were weak. He was over his head and thought things were finally looking up. So instead of resting, he ventured out into the darkness to pick fights. He was surely to lose. Taco part of the tech hunters? We live at the tech hunters, so I'd rather not attack a fellow tech hunter. Okay. Yeah, let's go. I want him to develop martial arts skills because martial arts are one of the most powerful skills to have. He's going to use a sword when he needs to. He's going to use his fist when he needs to. He's going to kick people in the nuts if he needs to. Kawasashi, on the other hand, looked after Rover and Hobbs. He also managed to hear some stories from the traveling vagrants moving through Mourn. There was also this massive tower that piqued his interest, but Kawasashi couldn't get it open. Not without John Bane at least. Rover was pretty happy to see our guy, who was already growing a visible bulge. We purchased a place to keep everyone safe. It wasn't much, but enough to ease the mind of John Bane, who worried for his new companion's safety. It was also because he was preparing to risk his life to obtain strength. Strength that could only come from facing the most dangerous challenges in Kenshi. We got our dodge up just a little bit. I think the best way to fight them is to use a sword. Alright, I think for us to get any stronger, John Bane here is going to have to pretty much travel the world, learning from the best, learning from the greatest. Whatever he encounters, he's going to be prepared for. John Bane, are you ready for this? After a lot of time, returning from his battles with the elongated freaks of Kenshi, it was time for him to stop running around in his underwear. Well, the vendors didn't actually have any pants for sale, so he's just going to look like he's going to the local Walmart to flash some grannies. To fix this, John Bane took a look at Flat Lagoon's armor store. And oh yeah, John Bane now looks like a true bringer of justice. The only problem was, the clothes cost a fortune, so the Swamplands was next, especially Shark. A town full of the chillest and highest people in Kenshi. Except for these dudes, who called themselves Stone Rats. A skinny shek woman was attempting to intimidate John Bane into becoming their errand boy. But honestly, we weren't putting up with their crap. So a fight ensued. The people in the tavern seemed to actually jump in and aid John Bane against the Stone Rats. After every single one of them was either left crippled or unconscious, it was then revealed these were the thugs extorting and causing trouble to every small business in Shark. So John Bane had done some good. This didn't fix the problem he had, which was being poorer than even homeless junkies in Shark. So he rested up before traveling to a different town, but encountered the exact same problem. The swamplands was definitely not for John Bane, so he left this place behind and traveled to Squid. The moment he got there, he started problems with the first people he saw. He was able to easily break their necks. Now, don't feel too bad, these dudes were actually slave mongers. Squid didn't really provide him any opportunities, since John Bane here was far too poor for even a slice of dry turkey. The only place left was Vane, a place where he might be able to make a couple of cats. But the moment he spotted a white gorilla, he had better ideas. He knocked the gorilla unconscious and loaded up on as many stones as possible. Now, what could possibly be going through that thick skull of his? Pain! Holding the weight of the solar system, he walked around carrying the weight of the sun, and as he did, his strength grew at unprecedented levels. But something was happening in Mourn. Something was happening. Something bad. And John Bane was far too far from home to do anything about it. Bro, why is there a colossal beak thing in here? Hold up, guys. Mourn is under attack. Oh no, bro. A ninja guard just died. Dude, why is... Holy crap. Oh no, bro. Do not go outside, dude. Do not go inside. Stay inside. Before we knew it, Kawasashi, Hobbs were gone. Their bodies devoured by something out of a nightmare. John Bane was just trying to prepare for revenge he was going to bring. But now, somehow, what he loved and cared about was once taken again. John Bane sprinted as fast as he could, destroying anything that stood in his way. He was now strong, but what was the point if he couldn't use that strength? Once he arrived back, he found Mourn in silence. The people were gone, their bodies devoured by the creatures. Seeing a survivor being attacked by a monster, John Bane snapped the legs of it. He then searched Mourn and found Rover, still alive, but starving and near death. This left John Bane with trauma only girls with daddy issues could fathom. All John Bane had left was Rover, and he was going to ensure that nothing else hurts this little guy. John Bane went to the tower in the middle of Mourn, suspecting that the massive beak thing was living right above him. But what he found inside was a great white gorilla instead. John Bane wasn't sure what to think of this. He didn't know if this was going to cause mayhem or be okay. He had to ensure its death for the sake of Mourn. But right now, he was far too weak to even challenge it. Outside, something paid a visit to John Bane. A Titan who had provided him help against the robots chasing him that day was here. It was here to provide John Bane with strength he could only dream of. With that cryptic experience, John Bane went on a rage-fueled killing spree that left hundreds of beak things lying on the unforgiving landscape. But no matter how much he searched, the kaiju-sized one that destroyed Mourn that day was nowhere to be found. John Bane just couldn't take a break. Things were looking hopeless. Although he wanted to quit, he instead decided to unleash all his rage against this powerful gorilla in that tower. But he was no match. Even so, he didn't give up. John Bane, every time he was beaten down, got back up and tried again, and again, and again, and again, and again. Was he going to be destroyed by the cruel world? Was the cruel world also going to take what he cherished most? After days and nights of fighting the gorilla, John was ready to settle things. He was stronger, now being easily able to take on anything and anyone. All he needed was a fitting sword, as the robots that he was going up against had bodies even his hands couldn't break. His armor was also going to get him killed. While it was better than being nude, it wasn't enough to take on hundreds of skin bandits all at once. So, he was going to obtain the perfect weapon for his revenge. He paid a visit to the sheks. There was a very nice weapon in the shop, a fragment axe. The only problem was, he was far too broke to even purchase it. This again. So, hoping to purchase the weapon from the vendor one day, John Bane took a trip to Bane to make as much money as possible. This is a lot of meat. Hello, would you like to buy some? Yep, buy some of this. Alright, we made 1/3. Boom, boom, boom. Nice, we got him. Big thing eggs, big thing eggs, big thing eggs, big thing eggs, big thing eggs. Damn, we got a ton now. Returning after many days, he had the perfect amount, but the vendor no longer had it in stock. Damn. John Bane wasn't going to relent on getting that high-grade fragment axe, so he visited another Shek kingdom called Admag. Same story though. They did not have it. John Bane got pretty frustrated by this. It felt like the world was purposely holding him back and preventing him from getting his revenge he righteously deserved. So he picked a fight with a stone golem, the leader of the Sheks, and got his butt whooped. He didn't give up though. By himself, John Bane began to besiege Admag in an attempt to eventually reach the stone golem, Esta, who had a legendary fragment axe on her back. When he finally broke through the city gates, he looted what he could. He became extremely infamous, to the point that the Sheks knew his name every time they spotted him. He became a true mortal enemy of the Sheks. He was also able to find better armor. These weren't good enough for the battle he was going to wage against the skin bandits, so he instead left Shek Kingdom to pay a visit to an old friend. Although, he left the bag he filled up with spoils from his siege in Admag. Bro, why is this guy out here selling, like, armor in the worst place possible where no one can reach him? Armor King, making the world better with armory. Oh, yo, there we go, that's what I'm talking about. This is why this guy's the GOAT, bro. Oh no! No, we forgot our backpack, guys. This was a man who had always had John Bane's back. Although his shop was in ruin, his armor in peak condition. After purchasing powerful gear, John Bane still needed a weapon. He lost a bag filled with mid-quality weapons, so he needed to find one that was suitable for slaying robots. And there was only one group of people who carry the perfect weapons for slaying evil robots: the Holy Nation. The weapons deal low damage, but they do have 50% more damage against robots. Although the armor penetration is useless here, as the skin bandits wear nothing but human skin. I sure do love the Holy Phoenix. Damn! Is that a paladin's cross? Spin dance. Do a spin, do a martial arts spin. Who's this? Holy Nation, Holy Guards. Alright, we're doing really well. Or we take so little damage with that, I think it might be worth it to just not wear armor. Unless we're doing 1v1s, right? Nice, damn. Let's go. No, don't get hit. Yes, yes. Oh my god, it set us so close. Yes, we got it. Oh my gosh. Now, he did obtain the weapon from the highest ranking member in Stack, but the quality was dog water. It wasn't much better than using his fist to snap the robots in half. In fact, it might have been worse. Rover was doing decent at Mourn. He was falling in and out of unconsciousness due to starvation. Due to John Bane's intensive drive to take vengeance upon his enemies, he had disregarded his only friend alive. So once he returned, he fed this boy up and took a long nap. Tomorrow, he would try his luck again, against the strange master who had been teaching him the truth about the overwhelming odds he faced. But during this relentless training, John Bane would eventually discover that his buddy, Rover, was dead. This was a sad day. Tragedy after tragedy. The longer this journey of revenge lasted, the more he'll lose. Kenshi! You bastard! You took everything from me! This was his breaking point. John Bane could no longer wait. He had to kill everything. He had to end this journey before he fell into greater despair. But the vengeance he sought would not come so easily. Arriving at the place he had countless nightmares of, John Bane fearlessly charged in. Once he arrived at the place he escaped from, he instantly engaged in a great battle against the skin bandits. He was but one man, and the skin bandits outnumbered him. The robo-slaying weapon proved ineffective, so he resorted to using his bare hands. You could probably guess what happened. John Bane was defeated and put into the same machine he once escaped. Even so, he never lost the immense hatred fueling him. He broke free, engaged in a last stand against the skin bandits. He rested when he could, in the pouring violent acid rain. He fought and fought, but no matter what, he could not make a dent in their numbers or hard metal bodies. So, John Bane, feeling the true weakness of his flesh, realized, you might have lost, you might have lost. This day would forever haunt John Bane, for he not only failed to avenge his family, but let those who died down. He was utterly broken, so not having the heart to watch this any longer, I took a step away. That was when the answer became clear. If he wanted strength, he should give himself up for it. For what he lacks isn't ambition, but self-sacrifice. So John Bane began to travel. He stopped at Mourn one last time before arriving at Flat Lagoon to recruit a witness. Don't worry, this person was someone whom John Bane wouldn't get attached to. He won't, cause he'll never know when the world would take them away from him. He sent her back to Mourn to wait for his return. She was going to be used for his ascension. John Bane continued his journey, all the way to Shek Kingdom. The vendor still refused to sell him the suitable fragment axe he wanted, a weapon that he needed to defeat his enemies. So he looked to the golem Esta, who had the weapon that could defeat even the gods. To obtain this weapon, he would have to slaughter all of the Shek Kingdom. They were a valiant bunch. Their weapons were sharp and armor immune to his weapons. But to his bare fists, their fleshy bodies were no match. John Bane gathered as much money as possible. He was preparing. During all of this, the woman he had recruited had somehow perished, but John Bane was numb to all. He already expected this. So he began a second siege on the sheks. After a long battle, he came to the answer. It wasn't enough. The armor he wore held his martial arts powers back, and he couldn't engage them naked. So he paid a visit, once again, to this guy. Armor King, save lives with armoring. After a bit of negotiating, John Bane walked out with the gear that enhanced his strength near its limits. It was now time to truly bring the fall of Admag and obtain the axe of Esta. Come here, coward. Come here, coward. Oh my... Yeah, John Bane is messing these guys up. Flat skin? I'm not a flat skin. You're a flat skin. Your boy's about to mess them up. This is all in the name of his family. John Bane. You stop it. Stop in the name of the law. Stop in the name of the law. Oh, now he's joining the Kung Fu. I'm the Kung Fu master now. Alright, here's one of the 5 invincibles versus John Bane. That's what I realized. Oh yeah, look at that fragment axe right there. Good, let's go. Here we go. Who's settled, guys? Likewise. Oh, what? That's BS hitbox. Yo, that is BS hitbox. The battle was hard and long. John Bane used what he learned over the many hard days to take out the Shek warriors, eventually leaving only Esta alive. The battle was close. Her weapon hurt more than most, but his punches also hurt her, because she had one fatal flaw. She wore no armor on her body. Good enough. Maybe not. Oh! Oh, we got her! We got her! You got her! Yo, that is a sexy weapon, guys. We had done it. Esta was defeated, and on her was the weapon he had been trying so hard to obtain, the legendary fragment axe. Don't worry, woman, this will be put to use. Now, I forgot to mention in all of this, John Bane had a witness, Beanhop, a shek who had joined him to aid him in the heat of battle. With not much of an introduction, the two stopped at the hub, where John Bane spent countless restless hours harnessing strength that could crush mountains. He trained to the point of starvation and near death, and what became born of it was a man who finally understood his limits. He then traveled to the way station with Beanhop. The goal was to purchase robotic limbs with the power to crush steel and tin. After picking up what he could, John Bane was still missing 3 more limbs, so he planned to head to the Black Desert City. This place was a paradise for robots, acid rain and hard terrain. John Bane took a detour to test his strength on some poor dust bandits and Dust King. And oh man, did they get crushed. After a bit, he arrived at the Black Desert City, where he picked up the limbs. They mostly consisted of berserker limbs and powerful power arms. You'll see how far this pushes his overall stats. John Bane then picked up Beanhop and traveled all the way down to Royal Valley, a place next to the hellish landscape he once escaped. Here, he took a moment to remember his wife, daughter, and dog. The days that they were living in peace. But now it was time to embrace something that no man would embrace. John Bane began to raid the town close by, the one filled with skin bandits. Soon enough though, there was no more. The altercation with skin bandits left him with great wounds. If this was the limit of his mortal body, then he'll embrace the nightmare he has been running from. to really obtain the strength he needs. This machine, Beanhop. The reason why he was here is to assist and witness John Bane's attention. John Bane stepped in, and so began the pain. Finally, his limbs fell off. John Bane was no longer just a man. He was vengeance itself. The machine he was in needed limbs to break out of. He thought he had actually messed up, but Beanhop handed him the robotic limbs, and with this newfound strength, he was easily able to break out. And finally, he dismissed Beanhop, and with the memory of John Bane and great steps towards his ultimate strength, he ran back to the mortal realm. All that was left was John Bane and the Skin Bandits. He paid a visit to a nearby hive, massacring everyone inside to use this place as a fortress to recover when he needed. Once he arrived at the Skin Bandits hideout, the true crusade began.
Oh damn, that's very fast. We can get up. Keep fighting. You like picking fights with humans. You like kidnapping children and butchering people's families. Right? Come back here. Where are you going? Where are you going? Where do you think you're going? Oh yeah. Yeah, chase them down. Make them fear. This is the first time these robots have ever felt fear.
With the swing of 20,000 suns, the Skin Bandits fell like insects. Their bodies crushed under the weight of his heavy weapon. Their numbers were great, but his strength was greater. John Bane searched another location for the Skin Bandits leader, but he was nowhere to be seen. He had only heard stories about the man who had started all of this, who had invented the cruel machine and implanted the idea of wearing skins to the robots. So with this notion, he ran across hell to take the head of its leader. Eventually, he arrived at the place. John Bane instantly began to slaughter through the Skin Bandits who had charged him. Countless fell, and now that he had 200 strength and stats that would even make Tin Fist jealous, they were nothing but cattle to him. The same way they treated him and his family, he mirrored. Looking around the fortress, he picked one out of the many buildings and approached. And there he was, Savant, the leader of the Skin Bandits. Vengeance has come! Face me, coward! I will ensure this duel is unforgettable. John Bane was so close to ending the nightmare. Their swords clashed, and John Bane was being sliced and hit. But he only needed to land one to decide this battle, because John Bane was now beyond strength. With one stroke of his giant blade, he cut down the leader of the Skin Bandits.
That's gotta hurt. We just smacked his head off. Alright, he has a very nice sword.
John Bane rested on the throne of his enemy. Going upstairs, he made sure Savant experienced the same horrors he forced on others. And boy, was he terrified. The cowardice side of this bastard unraveled. He was screaming. It was like music to John Bane's ears. Although he wasn't a sadist or anything, somehow this brought him peace. When the Skin Bandits leader finally died, his limbs and skin removed, he headed downstairs and inspected the safes and chests. Inside he found something, the skin of his wife and daughter. And turns out Savant was actually keeping his daughter's skin and wife's skin in the safe. John Bane kept it on him as he left the hellish landscape. The Skin Bandits were dead. They were no more. Returning to the tower he once came across at the beginning of his journey, he discovered the Gorilla Boys hiding out there, who were nothing but actually children compared to his strength. He still had things to settle and mourn. In the bone fields, he dueled the great white gorilla to the death, coming out victorious in the end. He hunted the beak things that destroyed Mourn and took his friends. He slaughtered the titan that gave him strength that fateful night. Although he was bitter that he was unable to find the kaiju beak thing truly responsible for Mourn's attack, his actions reduced the population of beak things by 99%. He was also able to delete the robots screaming, "Police!" off the face of Kenshi. Now, there was nothing left. John Bane had done it. He had crawled out of hell, gathered strength, and removed the stain in his memories. So, can a man survive the harsh world of Kenshi? Well, the better question is, can Kenshi survive a man on the path of vengeance.